Good afternoon, beautiful people of planet Earth and all sentient beings and all other interdimensional entities of love, light, truth, holiness, sweetness and goodness. Got a very cranky bird here, but she wasn't able to go out today because Mama T had to go to the hairdresser, which I'm happy about because I was starting to look a bit grotty. I feel much better now. Mama feels human again, yes. And then when I came out from my hairdresser, it was pouring with rain and it's still raining. So that was the end of Charlie's opportunity to go and have tree time and sit out in the garden. And the forecast for tomorrow is more rain, so she's going to be even more irritated, losing 2 days being stuck inside with the mama. It's a birdie's life, isn't it, Charlie? All the other wild birdies have to be out in the trees in the pouring rain in their little nests with all their little babies and grandmothers and fathers and, mates. And you have to sit in the house with the mama, warm and cosy in winter and comfortable in summer, thanks to my earth angel. Yes, we get to sit all nice and cosy in the house. Well, it's outside can be miserable as all hell, and we don't care, do we? I love you. She says, Mama, I haven't seen you all day. You've been out getting your hair done, and I feel rather fractious. I think she does actually feel rather fractious. So I couldn't decide whether to continue reading the Māori folktales and legends, or to carry on with the Russian folktales, or to go back to the Scheherazade, the 1001 Arabian Nights. So I've decided to continue with the Russian folktales because it's flicked up on my iPhone and it is the most accessible right about now. I could have gone on with the American short stories too. But anyway, so Russian folktales it is. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I do. And if you wish, you can even read along with me on the internet, because it's a free resource with the Gutenberg.org free resource, Gutenberg Press, and all the stories are there. You can read them at your own leisure. You don't have to listen to my droning, weird New Zealand Australian accent and my weird segues and my weird almost ADHD distractions. Getting a bit concerning, quite frankly. Never used to be that bad. But anyway, I had a better night last night. I only stopped breathing 3.7 times an hour, which is half of the night before, which was 5.9, which was a bit of a concern actually. So I'm not sure what mechanism is causing me to be all flibbity-gibbity with my shutting off my breathing and my sleep, but it's a living, people. I'm here reading your stories, so I'm still alive, and I've got great hair while I'm trying not to die of my various maudlin type long-term health issues. It's why I'm joking about the trying not to die thing, because if I was going to die of sleep apnea, I've had 21 plus years to die of it. But I must say, last year it was getting a bit scary because of the effect it was having on my bladder. And anyway, on we go and on we go. Life is beautiful. Be in it. Hold on to your stories, your reality for as long as you can. Be true to thine own self. Don't let the trolls grind you down, I had a troll recently complain about me, complaining about my health issues. Well, don't come to my channel. It's like, I'm a real person. I'm going to complain about things from time to time. That's life. sure you complain about things in your own world too, as the mood befits you. So on that note, this little autocrat, Mama T, of Titania's realm and sacred space, welcome to Titania's realm and sacred space, by the way, who is manifesting her best life ever, one day at a time, out of her own imaginings and with beautiful reminders from fairy tales, folk tales, myths and legends from all over the world. Because it gives me a bit of comfort, to see I'm not the only one that's going through extraordinary times. That those extraordinary times are kind of archetypical and have happened many times before, different variations. So, what did King Solomon used to say? There's nothing new under the sun. He was a bit of a magician, our King Solomon. He had some unusual magical ways, according to biblical accounts. How true they are might be just another fairy story. However, Mama T, the Tanya, the psychedelic dreamer, does believe in fairy and the gene, and there's good and bad in all species of life forms across the cosmos. So always show respect, because you don't know who you're dealing with at any given point in time in the known space-time continuum. But on the other hand, you don't have to be a victim of anything malevolent either. Just don't vibe with you. Jog along, go be awesome somewhere else. That's just my philosophy after 59 and a half years of veritable hell and varying degrees of how you want to scale hell. Sure, it could be a lot worse, could also be a lot better, but it is what it is, babies. So we carry on. The language of the birds, Charlie. This is a story all about your people, Charlie. The feathery winged ones. Somewhere in a town in holy Russia, there lived a rich merchant with his wife. He had, I have to make this bigger, I'm straining just a moment. He had an only son, a dear, bright and brave boy called Ivan or Ivan. One lovely day, Ivan sat at the dinner table with his parents. Ivan is the equivalent in English of John. So when you hear Ivan, think, oh well, his name would be John if he lived in an English-speaking country. One lovely day, Ivan sat at the dinner table with his parents. Near the window, in the same room, hung a cage, and a nightingale, a sweet-voiced grey bird, was imprisoned within. You're not imprisoned, are you, Charlie? You get to be free of your cage, except when you have to go to bed at night and go sleepy bites. Then I lock you in your cage, just so you feel safe and secure, and you don't have to worry about anything untoward climbing in with her, like the occasional random snake or the occasional random dibbock, but I suppose dibbocks can't be locked out anyway, so there was that. But anyway, I always shut her in at night, cover her with a towel, and she snuggles down. It feels quite secure that way. But this bird was shut inside his or her cage. Charlie gets a lot more freedom than most other pet birds because she can't fly very far, and I don't have to worry about her disappearing on me. She gets an extreme amount of freedom actually, but I like my pets too. I like all my beloved ones to love me in ways that they still feel free, as long as they're not being, awful and backstabby and cheating and, malicious and vindictive. Love me as a free person, or don't bother loving me at all. Quite frankly, it's nothing worse than love that comes with that feeling of suffocating, oppressive entrapment. Love dies very quickly when that kind of control drama starts kicking in. If you don't trust your woman to love you wholeheartedly and with her own free will, body, mind and spirit, and vice versa, if you can't trust your man to love you freely, what are you doing being in that relationship? They're not for you. Trust and respect are the primary foundations of any healthy, positive, loving partnership, relationship, friendship, even business partnership. If you can't trust another person, by the gods, it's doomed from the very beginning. Ask me how I know about all that, by the way. No, don't. We don't want to wallow in the negativity and the putrescence of the past. We're building a beautiful life for the mama tea. Could happen one day. Right. Doesn't mean I'm in denial though. I will never evade from the past because the past has made me who I am today. But we just don't need to go there and ruminate over it. It's not important. All those lackluster, low-level entities are gone and I don't miss them one iota. So, and that's good. Took a long time to heal from some of those entities that were barely human. They were that malevolent. I would have been better off with an evil jinn, some of those bastards. At least an evil jinn would have been upfront about stabbing me in the face and in the back. But anyway, it is what it is. Let us return to the imprisoned nightingale. I was thinking of the song, that line of the song. And a nightingale sang in Berkeley Square. That's not the melody, but those are the words. The sweet nightingale. I don't actually think I've ever heard a nightingale sing. Do we have nightingales in Australia? I don't think so. Anyway, the sweet... How my mind rambles on, I know. The sweet nightingale began to sing its wonderful song with trills and high, silvery tones. The merchant listened and listened to the song and said, "How I wish I could understand the meaning of the different songs of all the birds." Yes, that would be a wonderful thing to know exactly what they're saying. I would give half my wealth to the man, if only there were such a man, who could make plain to me all the different songs of the different birds. I always wanted to be like Dr. Dolittle and be able to communicate with all the animals and birds. That was my favourite thing about that part of the movie, was Dr. Dolittle communicating. It's beautiful. But we kind of do communicate with the animals and the birds. I had a weird kind of energetic symbiosis having with Sybil Serpent for 12 days. After the initial shock of her, appearing in my side garden near my back door, I think for the first 2 or 3 days it took me to get used to her presence, because I was still fascinated but kind of freaked out. But after about day 4, we developed a telepathic symbiosis. I would go to Charlie's room and I would know that she would be there waiting outside, and I looked out the window. I just know, I knew she'd be there. She was there every day, so it wasn't hard to know that. But I would I was kind of in an energetic way communicating with her. But I did speak to her in words too, like I asked her, when you're going back to the forest, Sybil, you really need to go back to the forest, Sybil. You don't belong here at sacred space. Like, I'm not making you unwelcome because it's sacred space, and I like every living creature to be safe here. But when you're done doing whatever it is you're doing, you need to move along, girlfriend. And sure enough, she did when she was good and ready 12 days later. But anyway, she was such a sweet soul that I kind of miss her now. Can you imagine me, if you'd asked me 20 or 30 years ago, if you had a very large carpet snake in your back garden, would you be communicating with it and tolerating it and trying to give it milk, which I know that was a bit loopy, but I thought for some mad reason it might like milk. I would have laughed at you and said, don't be ridiculous. I'm terrified of snakes, which I kind of philosophically am terrified of snakes. But I got used to her. I got used to her. So it's kind of interesting that. Anyway, she was a milestone, a way shower, a guidepost in my life, showing me that you can get used to a snake and live in perfect, symbiotic, energetic resonance. What else could the Tanya get used to, babies? Perish the thought. But anyway, I'm not going to invite a crocodile to my garden because you know the old saying, never smile at a crocodile. Just don't do it because it's imagining how well you'll fit within its skin. Crocodiles don't like humans at all. I don't even know why Sybil serpents seem to philosophically like me from a distance. I think it's because she could see I was quite concerned as to why she was there and checked on her 4 or 5 times a day and really took rather good care of her considering she was a wild carpet snake and never had one of those before in my life. Oh, anyway. So we continue on with the reading because I've gone, I know, Mama T's segues. Ivan took notice of these words, and no matter where he went, no matter where he was, no matter what he did, he always thought how he could learn the language of the birds. And here he is, standing in his garden, looks like under a silver birch tree, looking up into the tree, doing basically what I do every day when it's a nice day and I'm sitting outside in the garden, talking to my wild bird friends too, although sometimes I just whistle to them and they whistle back, but sometimes that beautiful butcher bird that comes, he talks to, or she talks to me with energy. Actually, sometimes I haven't even realised it was there and I feel this intense presence as if a person's standing over me. That's how big that energy of that little bird is. And then I always look up and it's there looking down at me like this to say, what are you doing? That bird talks to me telepathically. Well, not in thought forms or actual words, but with expressing its presence and that I should take notice of it. And there's a video up on my YouTube, recent one, of me whistling to it and singing back to me quite happily. Yesterday I saw him, or her, I think it's a boy though because it's got more distinct colorations. And I was standing in my kitchen window and it was raining. Was it yesterday or the day before? Anyway, it was a bit rainy like it is today. And no, I'm wrong. It wasn't raining because I thought it might have had a swim because it was all wet. I was like, why are you wet? So I think he or she had a little swim in the bowl I put out for Charlie. Anyway, he or she was sitting outside my kitchen window, drying out and not making any singing, trilling noises. I said, what are you doing, butcher bird? Just a little wiggle. Told me that she's drying out, or he. Anyway, it was delightful. I love that bird. It's practically a pet now. It's a wild bird and not quite a pet in the way that Charlie's a pet. They can actually pet it. Stop pulling your feathers out, you little varmint. But it's a wonderful bird, is what I'm saying. Took me a while to get there, but you know what I mean. Anyway. Sometime after this, the merchant's son happened to be hunting in a forest. The winds rose, the sky became clouded, the lightning flashed. The thunder roared loudly and the rain fell in torrents. Ivan soon came near a large tree and saw a big nest in the branches. 4 small birds were in the nest. They were quite alone, and neither father nor mother was there to protect them from the cold and wet. The good Ivan pitied them, climbed the tree and covered the little ones with his kaftan, a long skirted coat, which the Russian peasants and merchants usually wear. The thunderstorm passed by and a big bird came flying and sat down on a branch near the nest and spoke very kindly to Ivan. Ivan, I thank thee. Thou hast protected my little children from the cold and rain, and I wish to do something for thee. Tell me, what dost thou wish? What dost thou wish, Charlie? She wants scratches and cuddles right now. Scratches and cuddles? Oh, scratches and cuddles. It's not an unreasonable thing to want when you haven't seen your mummy all day. Ivan answered, Ivan or Ivan, Ivanovich. We'll stick with Ivan because I started calling him that at the beginning of the story. I'm not in need. I have everything for my comfort. But teach me the birds' language. Stay with me 3 days, and thou shalt know all about it. Ivan remained in the forest 3 days. He understood well the teaching of the big bird and returned home more clever than before. One beautiful day, soon after this, Ivan sat with his parents when the nightingale was singing in his cage. His song was so sad, however, so very sad, that the merchant and his wife also became sad, and their son, the good Ivan, who listened very attentively, was even more affected, and the tears came running from his cheeks. What is the matter? Asked his parents. What art thou weeping about, dear son? Dear parents, answered the son, it is because I understand the meaning of the nightingale's song, and because this meaning is so sad for all of us. What then is the meaning? Tell us the whole truth. Do not hide it from us, said the mother and father. Oh, how sad it sounds, replied the son. How much better would it be never to have been born? Do not frighten us, said the parents, alarmed. If thou dost really understand the meaning of the song, tell us all at once. Do you not hear for yourselves? The nightingale says, the time will come when Ivan the merchant's son shall become Ivan the king's son, and his own father shall serve him as a simple servant. The merchant and his wife felt troubled and began to distrust their son, the good Ivan. So one night they gave him a drowsy drink, and when he had fallen asleep, they took him to a boat on the wide sea, spread the white sails and pushed the boat from the shore. For a long time the boat danced on the waves, and finally it came near a large merchant vessel which struck against it with such a shock that Ivan awoke. The crew on the large vessel saw Ivan and pitied him, so they decided to take him along with them and did so. High, very high, above in the sky, they perceived cranes. Ivan said to the sailors, "Be careful, I hear the birds predicting a storm. Let us enter a harbour, or we shall suffer great danger and damage. All the sails will be torn, and all the masts will be broken." But no one paid any attention, and they went farther on. In a short time, the storm arose. The wind tore the vessel almost to pieces. Yes, my love. And they had a very hard time to repair all the damage. Hey, it's me. I'm just making a video. Can I call you back? See ya. Well, you said you'll call me back and it took forever. Oh, well, you know what? I feel rude now. Well, anyway, I'll call him back. But no one paid any attention. Oh, we read that. Where are we? No, we'll start again. But no one paid any attention, and they went further on. In a short time, the storm arose. The wind tore the vessel almost to pieces, and they had a very hard time to repair all the damage. When they were through with their work, they heard many wild swans flying above them and talking very loud among themselves. "What are they talking about?" inquired the men, this time with interest. "Be careful," advised Ivan. "I hear and distinctly understand them to say that the pirates, the terrible sea robbers, are near. If we do not enter a harbour at once, they will imprison and kill us." The crew quickly obeyed this advice, and as soon as the vessel entered the harbour, the pirate boats passed by and the merchants saw them capture several unprepared vessels. When the danger was over, the sailors with Ivan went farther, still farther. Finally the vessel anchored near a town, large and unknown to the merchants. A king ruled in that town who was very much annoyed by 3 black crows. These black crows were all the time perching near the window of the king's chamber. No one knew how to get rid of them, and no one could kill them. The king ordered notices to be placed at all crossings and on all prominent buildings, saying that whoever was able to relieve the king from the noisy birds would be rewarded by obtaining the young Korolefna, the king's daughter, for a wife. But the one who should have the daring to undertake but not succeed in delivering the palace from the crows would have his head cut off. It's a bit rude, isn't it? All he's done wrong is take on the quest and failed, off with his head. Not sure I like these Russian folk stories. They're a little bit draconian. By the gods. Ivan attentively read the announcement once, twice, and once more. I'd be worried about failing and losing my head too, so it's pretty much the queen of failure. I try to shuck that albatross off, but let's face it, I even fail at making my YouTube videos most of the time. But it's kind of comical in a way, so I don't really mind. Finally, he made the sign of the cross and went to the palace. He said to the servants, "Open the window and let me listen to the birds." The servants obeyed, and Ivan listened for a while. Then he said, "Show me to your sovereign king." When he reached the room where the king sat on a high, rich chair, he bowed and said, "There are 3 crows, a father crow, a mother crow, and a son crow. The trouble is that they desire to obtain thy royal decision as to whether the son crow must follow his father crow or his mother crow." The king answered, why am I getting pop-ups? Go away, pop-ups. "The son crow must follow the father crow." It's very patrilineal of him, isn't it? Well, it is Holy Russia. As soon as, probably another reason why that wouldn't be a good place for me to live, be rebelling all the time. As soon as the king announced his royal decision, the crow father with the crow son went one way and the crow mother disappeared the other way. No one has heard the noisy bird since. The king gave 1/2 of his kingdom and his youngest Korolefna to Ivan, and a happy life began for him. Plenty of money and a woman as well. Didn't do too bad out of that arrangement. In the meantime, his father, the rich merchant, lost his wife, and by his fortune also. There was no one left to take care of him, and the old man went begging under the windows of charitable people. He went from one window to another, from one village to another, from one town to another, and one bright day he came to the palace where Ivan lived, begging humbly for charity. Ivan saw him and recognized him, ordered him to come inside, and gave him food to eat, and also supplied him with good clothes, asking questions. "Dear old man, "What can I do for thee?" he said. "If thou art so very kind," answered the poor father, without knowing that he was speaking to his own son, "let me remain here and serve thee among thy faithful servants." "Dear, dear father," exclaimed Ivan, "thou didst doubt the true song of the nightingale, and now thou seest that our fate was to meet according to the predictions of long ago." The old man was frightened and knelt before his son, but his Ivan remained the same good son as before, took his father lovingly into his arms, and together they wept over their sorrow. Several days passed by, and the old father felt courage to ask his son, the Korolevich, "Tell me, my son, how was it that thou didst not perish in the boat?" Ivan Korolevich laughed gaily. "I presume," he answered, "that it was not my fate to perish at the bottom of the wide sea, but my fate was to marry the Korolevna, my beautiful wife, and to sweeten the old age of my dear father." The end. Here's some pictures of, there we go, the old man begging and the little birdies that taught his wise son their language. So I'm going to stop at that one story because I want to ring back my friend Jared, who's, like a brother to me. Don't like to let people down, especially since I rang him first and then he was kind of busy and I haven't been able to catch up with him. So I'm going to do that, people of Earth, honour my commitments to my beautiful soul friends that have been there for me for decades. Always honour one's commitments and preserve friendships and relationships that are meaningful, solid and good and kind and productive and heart-centered. If you don't do that, you lose people. And then when you sit there all alone wondering why you're alone, because you treated everyone that you love like shit, no use crying on your smallest violin. You have to get a bigger violin and learn how to fiddle on that roof. Am I right, people of Earth? I actually have a bigger violin that someone gifted me quite some years ago, but it needs restringing and probably be expensive to restring. And also I don't even know how to play violin. But I have one. Hoarder that I am. Even though I'm not really a hoarder because I decluttered. But I just couldn't seem to part with that violin. I thought it will come in handy one day, and when I have the extra money I'll fix it, and I might even fiddle on it a bit, pretend to learn to play. I'm not very musical though. You can tell that by my singing voice. Oh, greatest violin ever invented. Anyway, on that note, goodbye for now, people of Earth. I'll be back with another story, probably after I've finished touching base with my handsome, talented and very much valued friend Jared. Bye for now.